this, in a nutshell, is what you need to know about what's going on in Iran today. If you take $1 and convert it to euro, you will get basically 1 point something. With real, maybe the best case scenario, you had maybe 70 reals per dollars in the 1970s. You had 30,000 or 40,000 reals per dollar in the past few years, and that was a really really hard time. We know that the economy comes first when it comes to revolutions and really unrest among the people. But when you go to an exchange, really, and when we want to change $1, you're going to get over 1 million Iranian rials. That is absolutely insane. At the peak, in the past few days, the exchange rate reached 1.5 million rials per $1. So obviously that's not sustainable. And look at the past few days and how it all deteriorates. And you see over 2,400% devaluation of the currency. And you have everything you need to know. Uh, Toward the end of December, really the merchants and the bazaar over in Iran decided that enough is enough, and they had some sort of a silent strike, and the IRGC and the Basij and all the internal forces in Iran really cracked down on them, and that somehow developed into a wide range protest around the country, and even any regime, even if it's a dictatorship, even if it's a theocracy like in Iran, you know that economy comes first. And so you don't want to mess with people's pockets. And as it is, the situation in Iran has been dire in the past few years, especially as the Iranian regime has been insisting on developing a nuclear program. So remember the Israeli and the American strike on the Iranian nuclear facilities back in June of 2025, as well as the ballistic missile program and the billions reportedly according to the U.S. intelligence, you have over $1 billion funneled to Hezbollah. It's an armed militia in Lebanon that Iran built in the 80s and is very much alive until today. Over $1 billion that the regime has wired to Hezbollah over the past year. So obviously, the Iranian people is not happy by these figures, and so massive unrest has have sparked, and really across all major cities in Iran. Fatal mistake by the regime, in my opinion. And then they realized that the world sees the pictures of the crackdown on protesters and decided to shut down the internet. And as of today, you can see how you have over 180 hours without internet. So you have Elon Musk's Starlink that has been providing internet to whoever has Starlink. We have reports that the regime has been cracking down and trying to break into homes and sort of take away those satellite dishes that really are receptive of Starlink over in homes of peoples. And I don't know if the Iranians are conducting it properly. We know that, well, if you can see the latest reports. For example, if you look at the Visegrad 24 report, they took a snapshot of Iranian TV, and they show a picture of Donald Trump, like the assassination attempt back in 2024, July 24. And what they wrote, and since I speak Persian, I'm going to read it out to you. It says, In bar khata nemiravad, which means this time we're not going to miss. Now, this is not the best approach to Donald Trump. Let me just say it this way. If the Iranian regime is seeking to sort of appease Donald Trump or sort of avoid American intervention, probably a good way to do it would be not to put a picture of Donald Trump in your state TV and saying, well, this time we're not going to miss the bullet and then we're going to assassinate you. We know, according to Israeli and American sources, that the Iranians were behind the two assassination attempts on Donald Trump's lives. So that's not a great tactic. Now we got this guy called Ali Shamkhani. He's a senior advisor to Ali Khamenei. He's the supreme leader of Iran, this Khamenei guy. And we're gonna scroll through his X feed. You can see, for example, a picture of him with the supreme leader of Iran. So he takes pride in being close to him. And look what this guy. Well, apparently he's now tweeting in anything from Russian to Hebrew, Chinese, and Persian. That's great, but we're gonna focused on his tweet from January 14th in Persian, basically threatening Donald Trump. And I'm going to make it easy for you guys and translate it. The president of America, who repeatedly mentions the futile story of aggression against Iran's nuclear facilities, would do better to also mention the plowing of the American El Udeid base by Iranian missiles, basically the largest American base in the Middle East in Qatar, El Udeid base. It will certainly help in creating a real understanding of Iran's will and capability to respond to any aggression. Let me translate it for you guys. The senior advisor to Iran's supreme leader is openly threatening the president of the United States. Again, not very bright. You can make the case that Iran is furious at the US, particularly at Donald Trump. But to say that this is great tactics and this is, playing, I don't know, playing ball with Donald Trump, I just don't understand that. And then we got these headlines. This is from Iran International. This is an opposition media outlet of Iran, sitting overseas, of course. We will cut off Trump's hand and finger, Trump Iranian general says. Once again, I personally, well, I uh, crave for the downfall of the regime. But if I were to advise them, and if they were to, pay me for as a consultancy job or something, I would tell them, that's probably not something you want to do. And then, of course, the same story in Persian. Now, let's take a deep dive into all these protests in Iran because that has been fascinating. Over the past 2, 3 weeks, we have seen massive unrest, and maybe every revolution or every popular uprising has a symbol. And this young lady over here has become the symbol of this uprising. How about let's take a look. At this lady over here. She's basically taking a lighter, setting on fire a picture of Ali Khamenei, the leader of Iran, and lighting a cigarette with his poster picture. Nothing could be more humiliating than that. This is from Dr. Malouf on Twitter at Real Malouf, but we can see it really all over the place. And same goes for setting on fire of government buildings, of police precincts, of cars, and of course the El Rusul Mosque in Tehran. This is a mosque, a great ancient mosque where Supreme Leader Khamenei has been given his sermons, his famous Friday sermons. Well, this mosque has been set on fire. Was set on fire, and we just watch astounded as thousands of Iranians are marching in the streets. Some, we of course, everyone wants to know what's the real number, and everyone is throwing numbers, um, thousands, tens of thousands. It looks like at least many thousands. Some opposition media outlets are saying 1.5 million protesters out in the streets of Iran. I can't vouch for that. This is from Iran News on Telegram. Let me just disturb you that these are pretty rough documentations because that documents really the response of the security forces of Iran, basically shooting at unarmed protesters, at peaceful protesters, and this has been, a hallmark of the Iranian regime to crack down and really to suppress the speech and suppress the liberties and freedoms of its own people, but actually live ammunition at protesters. That's something that the regime has been doing, and it's Iran has been, leading worldwide in the number of executions in prisons, especially of political prisoners. But um, this is next level, and it risks only pouring fuel on the fire. You got cases like Hungary 1956, where the security forces and the police, and later, of course, the Russians have intervened and cracked down and suppressed, even crushed, sadly, fairly successfully, this popular uprising and really took control back over the country. But Ukraine 2014, you had a case when peaceful protesters were out in the street, and the president ordered starting live ammunition, at these peaceful protesters, and this has only poured more fuel into the fire. So really, any regime, if a theocracy, a dictatorship, even if it uses the element of fear that is the hallmark of any dictatorship, you want to know how to do it well. Um, and then, of course, you got there's this documentation from Isfahan setting on fire. You can see many thousands of people here, right? This is also this one is from Tehran with the flag of the line. I'm going to stop right there, and the old monarchist flag, the flag of Iran, with the lion holding a sword with the sun behind it, really the golden lion of Iran, that has been so emblematic of the Shah in the days of the monarchy, has been replaced by this Islamic figure in today's flag of Iran, and those protesters are using the flag during their protests. So all of this is to show that we have serious live fire, and I'm not going to show you the live shooting at peaceful protesters. And reportedly, the regime has also hired foreign mercenaries, be it Arab mercenaries from around the Middle East or otherwise, to help it crack down on the protests. And one has to ask itself, oneself, doesn't the regime's forces, like the IRGC, right, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, be it the Basij, these are the domestic security forces, aren't they sufficient in order to suppress and efficiently crack down on protesters? So it's kind of interesting to see how the regime reportedly has to hire mercenaries. But of course, on the outside, and here we transition into the disinformation part of it, that any regime wants to show that everything is under control and we're all good. And this is just, as the Iranian foreign minister called it, Arakchi, he called it foreign terrorists who are around in the streets, and that's basically legitimizes what they say. And these are the newspapers. This is also from Iran News on Telegram, the official newspapers in Iran. And I have to stop on this point for a second, because we have been told all these years that all these years we've been told that there are reformists and there are hardliners in Iran, right? You got conservative hardliners like Ahmadinejad, if you remember back in the 2000s, or you got Raisi, the latest conservative president that died in a helicopter crash. So all these things, this is allegedly, those are allegedly the hardliners in Iran. But then you also have the so-called reformists. Are they supposed to be liberal? Well, like Rouhani or otherwise. Well, in Iran, they all agree on the same framework. Like, let's say, and of course, I'm not making any comparisons, but let's take France. Everyone kind of agrees on the same framework, on the same set of rules, as in France is a secular liberal democracy, and then everyone fights within that framework. Um, in in Iran, basically that's the same thing. All factions of the political sphere agree on the Islamic Republic of Iran being, of course, Islamic, Shiite based, and they all kind of agree on the nuclear program, and it's really the fact that it's super critical for Iran and the Iranian regime and for its future to secure the survival of the regime, and they all agree on that. So it's interesting to see how newspapers around Iran, being be it hardliner or so-called reformist, are showing the same pictures of pro-regime demonstrations. They all try to tout as if it's all under control, and these are a few, and that it's a bunch of foreign terrorists out in the streets of Iran, and actually it's all under control. And look, we even have massive pro regime demonstrations in Iran, and there have been, because I gotta be honest with you guys, there are many, perhaps millions of people in Iran who support the regime. And we have to be fair about that. There are many millions of Iranians who support the regime. They have a great deal of criticism toward the regime on the way in which it conducts itself, especially the economy. In Persian, they say tahrim, the sanctions. That's the number one grievance of people in Iran when they criticize the regime. But they wouldn't tell you, I want a secular liberal democracy in Iran. That is not what they're going to tell you. There are many people who want that, but my point is that all the level of freedom of press and the freedom of expression in Iran is limited to this framework. And as you can see, all newspapers in Iran, hardliner, conservative, or reformist, are showing the same pictures. And this is all part of course, of the war of information, because every war can be fought in the war of information. And here you can see IRIB, the Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting, responding to the claims that all these pro-regime rallies, they're all AI, artificial intelligence. They're all like made up. And you can see this guy from IRIB, uh, the regime budgeted with $400 million a year, crazy budget for a country like Iran, on propaganda and media. And you can see this guy really trying attempting to debunk the claims that all these pro-regime demonstrations are AI. And as you can see, I'm here reporting live from the helicopter. This is not AI. It's all right beneath me. Do I? And they even took the trouble of posting this on X in English. Do I fully believe that? Probably not, but at least it's amusing to see how the war of information is fought in parallel to the war on the ground. Remember, it's always the war of information alongside the war on the ground. And of course, to every rally and every revolution, potentially, every popular uprising has a symbol. We mentioned the lion and sword and sun, the monarchist flag of Iran. We mentioned the young lady who lit her cigarette by a burning poster of leader Khamenei of Iran. And now you have this young gentleman, Irfan Sultani. He's 26 years old. And in a post up by Iran International, again, an opposition media outlet that operates from outside of Iran, look at this guy. This guy was protesting, and subsequently, regime forces arrested him in his home, probably violently, burst into his home, arrested him, imprisoned him, and his execution was set to last Wednesday. Um, and luckily, we hear that his execution was delayed. I have to tell you that this is horrible because we can see how these young protesters just want freedom. And look at this! Look at this guy. He just wanted to protest for the future of his country, but then the regime arrested him, and he was said to be executed for treason, for high treason. We remember the Attorney General, the AG of Iran, saying that these protesters, we're going to designate them as enemies of God. Get that? Enemies of God. And that's an offense punishable by death. And so when we look at the situation in Iran, we cannot ignore the human side of it, the human story. Um, we hope that his execution will be indefinitely postponed, and this guy will be released as he should be. And this is absolutely, this has become quite the controversy around the world following these images. But look at that. This is that we are getting reports right now on further interesting developments. This is the famous historic market, the bazaar in the city of Rasht. It's like a medium-sized city in northern Iran, a bit northwest to Tehran. And we all know, and if any of you knows people who are of Persian ethnicity or Iranian origin, and we all talk about the bazaar, right, the market. This is not just going to the market to buy carrots or lettuce. In Iran, the tradition of bazaar goes back hundreds of years, thousands of years. This is a part of their um, it runs in their blood, it runs in their veins. And this whole thing, these protests, started out by these merchants in the bazaar who were absolutely furious by the fact that the regime is continuously devaluating the rial facing the dollar. And so uh, in this specific city, it is said the regime forces have set on fire. They butchered those merchants in the bazaar of Rasht. 300 shops destroyed. This is according to Iran spec on X. People were shouting, "Don't be afraid. If they kill us, Trump will target them tomorrow." We remember President Trump, we're going to get to it in a second, is extremely committed to helping the protesters in Iran. And he said help is on its way. Help is on the way. We're going to get to it. But look at that. So this is the bazaar in the city of Rasht. Looks like this colorful place with this smell of spices and all that. But then apparently the regime decided it's had enough. We hear these reports from multiple sources. This guy, I don't know him on X, but Goldschmag apparently has over 75,000 followers, and he's making the same claims, even adding pictures. And if you look at the bazaar, and here we have on Google Maps, looks like a fantastic old town of the city. And just to think of a regime that cracks down on peaceful protesters, or in an innocent bazaar, a marketplace, in a city, in its own country, that is just chilling. So this is what's going on in Iran. There are reportedly thousands of people killed. The AG is calling them the enemies of God, those peaceful protesters. And we got the symbols and we got international condemnations. But will the US intervene? And here we get to the part where I'm asking myself, where is it all going? Because we know what's the latest. And we know that the United States has been threatening, especially Donald Trump, President Trump, has been threatening to take military action in Iran. And we are all kind of asking ourselves, where this all going? Is the US going to strike Iran? Well, let's give you the facts first, as we love to do. And these are satellite images. This is again from Iran Spec. Satellite images purportedly showing the USS Abraham Lincoln, on its way to the Middle East. These are purportedly satellite images of this aircraft carrier by the US Navy. So Iran, in response to all these threats by the United States, has closed entirely. It's closed its airspace entirely. Here we can see, and if we go on this ADSB exchange, this website, we can see that the entire to this day, Iran reportedly reopened its airspace, and now apparently it closed it once again. There are literally no planes flying around Iran. Maybe this guy over here. Apparently, this is a Saudi Arabia. That's bizarre. You see, so these are all according to the ADSB exchange. These are the Iranian airspace is still absolutely closed up. Maybe in India a little bit, on the sidelines, but by and large, the Iranian airspace is still closed. And so Trump, and in all of that, what's going to matter eventually is the Trump factor. Donald Trump, President Trump in the White House, what is he going to decide, Iran? Is he going to strike? Is he going to take military action? Well, we see his press releases. We can see him all day, every day, all day, talking to the camera. But his truth social posts are absolutely fascinating. That's what he wrote on January 13th of this week. Iranian patriots, keep protesting. Take over your institutions. Save the names of the killers and abusers. They will pay a big price. I have canceled all meetings with Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops. Help is on its way. MIGA, that is to say, make Iran great again, uh, sort of rhymes with make America great again, so alludes to that. President Donald J. Trump. And of course, this one from January 12th, just a day before, was a little bit before the escalation in Trump's rhetoric, because what he started off by using the sanctions card. Effective immediately, any country doing business with the Islamic Republic of Iran will pay a tariff of 25% on any and all business being done with the United States of America. This order is final and conclusive. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J.